Welcome to LynnCullenLive, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, how you doing? Welcome to the program, our second foray from Point Park University. I have to start with some caveats. One, our phone system is still not functional. I'm sorry. I miss your voices, but we'll get you on soon. It's a problem, for once, not of our doing, but it's something with the university system and tapping in, and I don't understand any of it, but they are apparently working on it. Meanwhile, we do have email as a way for you to get your 2 cents worth in, and we are back to our regular email. We had a little bit of a stopgap yesterday, and so feel free to get in touch at lynn@pghcitypaper.com. This is Tuesday. Normally my sister would be joining us, but the aforementioned phone system difficulty prevents that. So Susan, I hope, will be with us next week, and by next week I hope all our wrinkles are ironed out and we'll be up and running. I have little doubt that this studio is going to prove to be a wonderful place to be doing the show from. And once we get everything together, it'll be great, okay? So I'm still a little discombobulated here. I just want you to know. We changed the camera angle that we had yesterday because some of you were freaked out that I was looking directly at you. I like to look at you sometimes, but when I'm like this, I'm looking at a blank wall. I don't know. We'll figure that out too. No problem. Hey, this is how I'm going to start every show, I guess, for the next until we get rid of this monster in the White House. So big news in the last 24 hours, obviously. It's impossible to keep up, is it not? So we still have all the Obama tap my phones craziness going on. And then to pull away from that, you've got now the House bill, supposedly the substitution for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, has been rolled out. And we also have the new version of the Muslim travel ban rolled out yesterday as well. The ACLU already saying, doesn't pass muster, and they're going to go after this ban as well. I have not had an opportunity to really digest everything that is in this House health insurance law, but the little bullet points I'm seeing suggest that it's a joke and it will cost an awful lot of people, and let's be clear about this, poor people, their health insurance. I think you'll generally have people paying more, getting less. It's what I've been able to see of it, it looks ridiculous. And in fact, there are many Republicans who are saying, this ain't going to fly. All those folks on Medicaid who are getting health insurance for the first time, that's going to be taken away from them. And that gets Republican senators in states that did, in fact, embrace Obamacare to a certain extent. So you've got already in Ohio, Rob Portman, in Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, Cory Gardner in Colorado, and what's her name in West Virginia, all suggesting that this is not going to fly for them in their states because it's going to knock a lot of their people who have health insurance now for the first time, many times. It's going to knock them back off the rolls. And So you also have a bunch of other Republicans who feel it's too generous or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not really ready to talk about it yet in any detail. But my guess is it's a cobbled together piece of crap. That's my guess, given what we've seen of this Republican House and its ability to govern at all, let alone craft legislation. The bill, by the way, also would, as threatened, cut federal funds to Planned Parenthood. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to table that a little bit and move into some other things. The travel ban. All right, so they prettied it up a little bit. Remember last time around when Trump said, in defense of the hastiness of the implementation of their first attempt and the absolute chaos that it created at airports, people's lives all over the world. And Trump's reply to that was, hey, I couldn't signal that I was going to do this. If I say we're going to do this in 1 week, then the bad guys have 1 week to come into our country. You can't do that. So he's rolled out the new one, and if I say rolled out one more time, somebody, just knock me upside the head, would you? And this time, of course, he's proffered, that's instead of rolled out, he's proffered the new travel ban, and it's got a 1 week waiting period before implementation. So, I hate to tell you this, but right now, bad guys are coming into the country to kill us. I gotta tell you, and they'll be doing it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well. Because the president, for some reason this time around, is not securing us. Oh. So anyway, while I was gone, and I was gone for a few weeks, there were so many stories about outrageous things happening at our borders, at our airports, at our where customs folk meet travelers, and I just want to reiterate some of them for you. You're probably been aware of them, but we have now a border patrol and a customs crowd that, not to mention ICE, that have been emboldened, I think, by the president's xenophobic and racist and Islamophobic message. And all it takes is one guy with a badge to decide he's going to keep America safe. And so we hear these stories. Never mind the story after story after story of children watching their parents get picked up by ICE agents and taken away. Never mind these horrific kinds of individual and familial tragedies that are playing out in cities all over this country every day now. It brings us closer to, the old cautionary tale from Germany, which is first they came for the fill in the blank. Didn't bother me. I didn't do anything. I barely even noticed. So some brown people are getting rounded up and sent back to where they came from. Big deal. But then they came for fill in the blank. And we're on our way. We are on our way there. So you have Muhammad Ali's son, born in Philadelphia, coming home to the United States from Jamaica, where he has been at a Black History event. And he comes into his country, the United States of America, and is detained. He has an American passport. He's as American as I am, as you are. But he is detained for hours by the United States government, Customs and Border Protection. And you know what his crime was? Why he got flagged? Well, one, I suppose, blackmail with a Muslim name, right? Muhammad Ali Jr. And he was pointedly asked by representatives of our government, "Are you a Muslim?" This is un-American. It's un-American. You maybe never read the book she wrote. There's a woman with a lovely name of Mem Fox. She's an Aussie. And she has written tons of children's books. And she, too, came to the United States and was detained. Now, this is a white woman. This is a white woman. Mem Fox, not a Muslim name. She got detained, and she said this: "I was treated with shocking insolence. It was monstrous." She said, "These are horrible people, gone mad." Welcome to the United States, Mem Fox. And of course, these all become big stories in their home countries. Henry Rousseau. He's actually a leading French scholar of the Vichy regime, the collaborationist, fascist regime in France during World War II. He is the leading French scholar on this. He was born, by the way, in Egypt as a Jew, and he ends up in France becoming this storied scholar. And he came to the United States in the last month to speak at a conference here. He was detained for over 10 hours and was told he would be sent back from whence he came. Only intervention by the university that had invited him to come and their lawyers, and it took 10 hours, got that man out of the clutches of the representatives of our country. He later wrote, "The United States is no longer quite the United States." Yeah. So what's happening here is a lot of people in the government at these levels, petty folk with badges, who now have been empowered to do the bidding of the nationalists and the racists and the xenophobes as if Mem Fox, a woman from Australia who writes children's books. By the way, her books are about tolerance. About tolerance. That she would be in any way a threat. That Muhammad Ali's son, an American citizen, would be somehow a threat and marked for detention. A French scholar of fascism, threatened with being sent right back and not allowed in. What you have are a lot of people in this country now in positions to do these kinds of things to innocent folk. And they're feeling they've been given a green light. You know, a former prime minister of Norway, did you hear this one? This is back a little bit. This guy was the prime minister of Norway. He was coming into the United States to attend, I don't know why, the National Prayer Breakfast. He was detained. I thought one of the more chilling incidences when I was gone was the fact that a plane, I believe from San Francisco, landing at Kennedy Airport in New York, that no one on that plane was allowed off until they were able to show identification papers to the customs people and border protection people. This is America? That was a domestic flight. A woman who's being abused by her boyfriend goes to court to get a protection from abuse order from him. And she what happens? Abused woman looks for protection from abuse order, and what happens? She's arrested at the courthouse by immigration. Think of all the women now in a position where they might need to seek protection from abuse order, might need the help of the authorities, but now will not seek it out because it will mean their arrest and detention. They, the victims, arrested and detained. An American-born NASA scientist was detained at one of our airports and forced to turn over his cell phone. A British Muslim school teacher bringing students to New York City on a big field trip was pulled off a plane in London on instructions from American authorities. We won't let her in. And all of that's happening is separate from these immigration police that are now grabbing people left and right. And we do hear, and it is true, that the Department of Homeland Security is truly considering and leaning toward separating children from their parents if they're caught at the border. Can you imagine? What have we become? Back to the Aussie writer Mem Fox. She'd been here 117 times. She's always loved coming to America. She won't be coming again. She doesn't recognize us anymore. Can you imagine being fearful to come? And here's what she said. I kept thinking that if this is happening to me, a person who is white, who is fluent in English, what on earth is happening to people who do not have that power? All right. I don't know, guys. I just don't know. Oh, and still on the travel thing, I saw this today. You remember Kaiser Khan, right? The Gold Star father of the soldier killed who spoke out against Donald Trump and who was then dragged through the mud by Donald Trump. He was supposed to speak in Toronto, I believe, coming up tomorrow or the next day. He had been invited to speak. That's been canceled because Kaiser Khan, an American citizen, has been informed that his travel privileges are being reviewed. Is this the United States? Is this the United States? So, little change of subject here. I happened to see this and I did want to share it because it's something that comes up as we live our lives in this country under assault. And if you go, especially if you come downtown or in any business district, it is not uncommon now in this country to see beggars. We call them panhandlers, right? People holding signs, desperate for money for whatever reason. Some of us give to them always. Some of us give to them occasionally. Some of us walk by and never consider giving to them. We are told by people in the know that we should not give them money because they will take that money and they will buy liquor or buy drugs. And this predicament that some of us find ourselves in too often now. This whole idea of what is the right thing to do was put to the Pope recently. And I want to share with you what he said, because it helped me. He said that giving something to someone in need is always right. But then he was asked, but what if they take it and they go and get alcohol? And the Pope said this: if a glass of wine is the only happiness he has in life, that's okay. Instead, ask yourself, what do you do on the sly? What happiness do you seek in secret? Another way, he said, to look at it is to recognize how you are the luckier one. You with a home, children, a job, friends. And so he was saying, don't get all moralistic, huh? Don't say. It's like people looking at people who pay with food stamps and say, and they're looking at everything in their cart. Come on. When somebody is down and out, you don't judge them. You lend them a hand. But the Pope goes further, and he said, you should give, and the way in which you give is as important as the gift of the dollar or whatever it is itself. So that when you give to somebody asking for money on the street, you should not simply drop a bill into a cup or a hat and walk away. The Pope says in order for this to be something that is of value to you and to that person, you must stop, you must look them in the eye, and you must touch them in some way. Touch their hand, touch their shoulder. And he said, and the reason is to preserve their dignity. To see a person and not a problem. To see a person and not a pathology or a social condition. To see a fellow human being with a life of equal value to your own. Think of that. And think of it especially now that we are in this new United States of America, in which we are throwing out marginalized people. We are terrorizing marginalized people. So you don't know what the guy's going to do with your dollar. Maybe you wouldn't approve of what he's going to do with that dollar. But maybe that is all beside the point. And the point is, compassion is never the wrong choice. And every human life has value. Yesterday, I told you that there was this Wall Street Journal opinion writer, Brett Stevens, who had actually tweeted something which he later deleted and apologized for, which essentially said, "Good God, the president is insane." Well, he has a column in the Wall Street Journal today. He didn't quite go there, but I'll share a little of it. And it's good to know that the folks who swear by the Wall Street Journal editorial pages are maybe reading this. Brett Stevens writes, "We are now in the 7th week of Donald Trump's presidency, and if fair-minded detractors and fans of his administration can agree on anything, it's that this is not going well." He goes on to call the president an intemperate and verbally incontinent 70-year-old man, prone to believing dubious conspiracy theories, letting them fly on Twitter, and to hell with the consequences. And now, of course, the entire machinery of our government must once again get in gear to contain the political fallout. No president, he said, has ever been this unfit. The Trump administration, he writes, is fast becoming about its own paranoia, its own incompetence and recklessness, all playing out in vertigo-inducing ways. He talks about the methodical corruption of the presidency by this administration. And he points out that Donald Trump does not have the slightest intention of changing his ways. That this is what we got. And he said there is no way you can look at this and not see America, the country you love, as a nation in jeopardy and in decline. Remember yesterday I said don't dwell on this all day. You figure out, okay, I'll listen to Lynn and then I'll listen to Rachel Maddow. I think Henry said that's what he was going to do. Don't. Live your lives. Live your lives. So you'll be good for something. So you'll be good to resist. Have to say a word about Ben Carson. How is that guy a brain surgeon? How is that guy a brain surgeon? I mean, one of the ways you talk about, well, it ain't brain surgery, that's supposed to mean that, brain surgery is supposed to be like the thing that requires the greatest intelligence and skill. How is that idiot a brain surgeon? You did hear what he said, right? He called the slaves shackled in slave boats coming to the United States. He called them immigrants. He said they were immigrants and that they had a dream. How, I just want to say that's what he said. He said, I don't have the exact quote, but he said, yeah, those slaves, they were immigrants. Their dream was a little deferred. They had a little bit of a harder road, but they came to America with dreams. Yeah, dreams of their families from whom they'd been, like is happening now on our borders. They were ripped from their families, forcibly put on a transportation vehicle and sent where they did not want to go. What did Trump say about the two pipelines, the Keystone and the other one that, remember famous? Well, we ain't building them unless they're built with American steel. Right? He did say that, didn't he, more than once? In fact, just last week, he said it. He said, they'll be built, the Keystone and the Dakota Access pipelines will be built with U.S. steel, or, here's his quote, we're not building them. Well, you can tell where I'm going here, right? They are being built, and they are being built with foreign steel. February 23rd, that's not too long ago, is it? What is that? A few weeks ago. He had the U.S. Steel CEO in the White House, Mario Longhi, and in a public meeting, he said to him, we're going to build them, but they got to buy steel. I'll say U.S. steel made in this country, pipelines made in this country, told the CEO of U.S. Steel. Well, that's not what's happening, guys. The pipelines are being built, and the pipe had already been purchased. And additionally, apparently, it is questionable whether American steel producers could make the necessary grade of steel for the pipe for the Keystone pipeline. This president said, I guess what's troublesome is that all of these promises he makes. Remember the 3 million people who voted illegally? Remember that? And he was going to launch an investigation. It was going to start immediately. Where'd that go? This is, well, fill in the blanks. This is frightening. This is humiliating. This is unbelievable. Anti-Defamation League has a new report out and say that there is a real spike in white supremacists recruiting on college campuses in this country. 100 incidents in over 30 states. Flyers showing up at Vanderbilt, at USC. Outrageous, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, racist flyers being sent all over the place. According to the report, these flyers have been spotted in 32 states at 66 campuses, most since Trump's inauguration. Vigilance, guys. Vigilance. Did I mention it's 110 degrees in here? I'm getting a little... Okay. Neither here nor there. I'm going to continue just sort of throwing stuff at you. I came upon this in the New York Times today. I found it interesting. So there is a professor at Yale, and I think this is in the law school. I'm not sure. He is a legal scholar. He's also a federal judge. His name is Guido Calabresi. I don't suppose he's Polish. And every year with the incoming students, he presents them with the same predicament. And I'm going to present it to you now. Let's imagine a godlike figure, or a genie in a bottle, a deity of some sort, comes forth and says to you, I am willing to give you and all of your people a wondrous invention. It will change your lives. It will make everyday life more pleasant in almost every way. It will be a game changer. But there's just one little stickler. In order to have this, I will strike 1,000 young men and women dead. Will you sacrifice 1,000 of you for this extraordinary, life-changing invention? And he says every year when he proffers this, the overwhelming, every once in a while there's a contrarian who says, sure, I'll take that. But almost everybody says no. No, sorry, I'd have to turn that down. And then he says to them, well, what if it's the automobile? Because the automobile, life-changing, wondrous invention, makes our lives more pleasant, gives us more opportunities. It's impossible to imagine our lives without the automobile, but you know what? In order to have it, we sacrifice 1,000 lives every 9 days. Every 9 days. None of us would go back on the deal, would we? We're still keeping it. Last year, 40,000 of us Americans died. That's as many as die of breast cancer. You think of all the breast cancer things you see, the pink ribbons, the pink fountain, the pink, pink, pink. And in fact, every bit as many of us and many more children die because of the deal we made with the automobile. Our modern lives in exchange for 1,000 lives every 9 days. By the way, that's more than twice as many people murdered in the United States. And here's the bad news. For the first time in a long time, deaths by auto are way up. Up 14% in just the last 2 years, and everybody knows why. Phones. So, we now have an even uglier deal because more and more people are dying. And a op-ed piece in today's New York Times suggests that this is it's a public health crisis. I mean, if more people are dying by automobile than by breast cancer, by homicide, by skin cancers, by this, that, and the other thing, yeah, that's a public health crisis. We will not deal with it. So we made the deal. I'm just saying. It's funny. We made the deal with the almighty deity. Okay, we'll take that thing. We will take that, you betcha, and we'll sacrifice those 1,000 people. And we'll do it a lot more than you suggested. So I just want to point that out. I guess driverless cars can't come too soon, because that will definitely lessen the carnage, and that's what it is. Oh, let's see if there's something happy to talk about. I don't think so. Is there something happy? Insomnia! Oh, I got a good one. I just found this fascinating. I think I alluded to it. Oh, there I am. Hi. I think I alluded to it once, but then never went there. So, I was once, I think, sitting in an airplane on the tarmac in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on my way to Chicago? Why wouldn't I have driven? Anyway, we were informed that we were not going to be taking off for quite some time, because the president was flying into Chicago. And airspace was all up and down that Lake Michigan corridor. Somehow we were told that you couldn't fly because of Secret Service protection of the president. Needless to say, I was annoyed. But I did understand, I guess, kind of. Now let's go to this president, Donald Trump, who has vacationed already more at Mar-a-Lago than... He's played more rounds of golf already than most presidents do in a year. And every time he flies from New York City to Florida, the airspace in those locations gets shut down. The airspace in New York City gets shut down? Well, kinda. A no-fly zone is put in place. It's about 30-mile no-fly zone. Now, my understanding is that most commercial craft are allowed, I guess, to fly, although that wasn't the case in my experience. But never has there been the kind of disruption to air travel caused by this guy, because his two homes are in some of the busiest airspace places for general aviation in the country. And general aviation means private jets, helicopters, think of New York City. There are, at any given time, 100,000 helicopter flights in and out of New York City. There's 4 heliports there. 200,000 helicopters, small airplanes. And with a few exceptions, like law enforcement and medical helicopters, all those aircraft are now prohibited within a 1-mile radius of Trump Tower. And that ring is expected to expand to 10-mile radius when the president is actually in town, in Trump Tower. There are businesses that rely on... Anyway, the whole point of this is he's killing jobs. He's killing jobs. Helicopter sightseeing companies in New York, they're going down, literally. You cannot... Businesses are going... And this one poor guy who's about to lose his business says, we understand the president needs to be protected, but this is putting us out of business. In Florida, at Mar-a-Lago, there are flight training schools that now cannot operate. There is a woman who's been in business since 1998, and she's having to close down. There's Palm Beach International Airport, 2 miles from Trump's Mar-a-Lago. 60% of its traffic is private. General aviation. Who flies into Palm Beach? Rich people. Rich people live there, and they have their own private jets. Can you imagine? You're rich enough to have your own private jet, and you can't even use it to get to your fancy schmancy little vacation place in Florida because Donald Trump is in residence. When the president is at Mar-a-Lago, all inbound flights must first detour, get this, to one of 5 gateway airports like Teterboro in New Jersey. You're a CEO. You're used to having your way. And you want to fly to your place in Palm Beach. You have to go to New Jersey? where your aircraft will get a security screening that is necessary to fly into Palm Beach. So all those, I love the idea of it, all those wealthy private jet owners who have homes in Palm Beach, Bill Gates, Michael Bloomberg, a million others, they're all totally screwed up now because of Donald Trump. But also small business owners are, and their employees, companies that handle, think about this, the cleaning, the catering, the maintenance for these aircraft. They're not flying in anymore. They're detouring and going someplace else. All those jobs are going down. According to the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, the 6 Florida airports affected by Trump's airspace restrictions account for a local economic output exceeding $1 billion, and they create over 8,000 jobs. I should have put that in the past tense, because they don't anymore. So, just a little thing, a little collateral damage of this president. And here, just to make it even more noxious, Trump is thrilled by all this. Because for over 20 years, Donald Trump has been suing Palm Beach Airport because their planes fly, when they're landing, fly over Mar-a-Lago. And he says they intentionally are harassing, maliciously directing jets to fly over, blah, blah, blah. The airport has always said, hey, we can't help it. You have your estate just off the end of our main runway. We're not supposed to fly over there? So he's been harassing them with lawsuits forever and ever. And now that he's president, he finally gets exactly what he wanted. They cannot anymore fly over. They can't use that runway. Anyway, just saying, another little piece of the misery that this guy brings trailing with him. So, any of you have a kid that's got like one of these stupid Hello Barbies? As if Barbie wasn't bad enough to start with. Now there's a Hello Barbie, which is an interactive doll. If you got a little girl, chances are you know all about this. It has been declared illegal in Germany. Hello Barbie is in Germany called Stasi Barbie. The Stasi were the terrifying East German secret police. And they're calling the doll Stasi Barbie because these toys have the ability to eavesdrop where they are. In fact, a lot of the sort of smart stuff that people want you to buy, those smart thingamajigs have the ability to eavesdrop. And so Germany's, essentially their FCC, said that even a not particularly good hacker could use the doll to steal personal data from any home in which that doll resides by recording private conversation over an insecure Bluetooth connection or other ways. So Germany says, get those things off the shelves because we are not allowing them in Germany. They will spy on you. Of course, here in the United States, nobody's saying anything, and they are in homes all over this country. But, it could be a baby monitor. It could be all these things that we now have open you up to all kinds of, nefarious activities. Just saying. Actually, in December, some groups did file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission here, alleging that these toys violated the rules on children's privacy. Because some of these dolls, not just the Barbie doll, actually record and then transmit the voice prints of children back to their computer software companies. Why? There's a doll called Kayla. That's what happens. You got a kid with a Kayla, they are collecting information about the kid, and it's heading back to the software company. There's another toy called IQ, QUE. It's made by the same company, Genesis Toys. And also it is internet connected and interacts with children by recording their conversations. And according to the complaint that was filed by the FEC, these voice recordings are stored and they are used for a variety of purposes, which would have nothing to do with the toys functioning. What are those purposes? Norway last year found these toys potentially in breach of its regulations as well. And one of their people said it's quite disturbing because these companies then can make direct marketing approaches to your children. This is one of the things they could do. But just a heads up that, according to the headline, that bright-eyed talking doll just might be a spy. Okay? So let's wise up, live in a brave new world. I don't know about the brave part. So I am sorry about... Oh, John's going to take on my automobile thing. He says the automobile example is a fairly glaring logical fallacy. It ignores the number of lives saved each year by having access to the internal combustion engine. Cars, trucks allow injured and ill people to be transported to hospitals more quickly. Emergency services such as police and firefighters now arrive at the scene in time. Refugees to flee more effectively from natural deaths and so on. Anyway, the introduction of new and disruptive technologies will almost inevitably have negative consequences for some, even if they benefit the vast majority. The ethical question becomes a matter of minimizing such adverse effects and deciding on whether the positive impact justifies the consequences. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I tip my hat to you. And he says, by the way, thanks for the opportunity to comment on a matter not related to the orange-tufted orangutan whose keepers have not yet managed to wrestle his stubby fingers off his Twitter keypad. That's John from Greensburg. Well, my pleasure. And my intent is to give us these opportunities because otherwise we literally will all go stark raving mad. No doubt about it. Okay, I guess that's it for this day. This is still a work in progress. We'll get it together, and I hope we got the phone soon because I miss you. I miss you. I miss you. Have a good day.
From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.